Okay, kids. Um, Today is lesson 24, and I just have to warn you, there's a lot of writing. So if you can't write it all down, just pause the video. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I just don't know how much your teacher might cover beforehand, and I want to make sure you get all this background information. So still Module 2, wrapping up division, getting to the end of our module here. So hopefully you're getting ready for your end of module test. Lesson 24 is continuing to divide, but now we're going to put a decimal in. That's okay. You can totally handle this. In fact, if I can find it quickly, I'll show you. You've been doing this since lesson 2 in module 1, so do not be afraid. Divide decimal dividends by multiples of 10. That's easy. We're going to think and reason about the placement of the decimal today. So you're going to just think about where the decimal goes. That's the easy way of saying it. So it looks like a lot, but you won't be doing work like this. This is just the thinking behind it. So let's take a problem like 54 divided by 10. If you use the place value discs and you break the 54 up into 50 and 4, and remember when we're dividing with 10 or multiples of 10, that you can take each individual one and divide it. And so what you get with this part is real easy. 10 divided by 10 is 1. But when you have 1 divided by 10, you might be saying, well, I can't do that, it's too small. Well, of course you can, because back in Module 1, Lesson 2, you realize that you just shift the decimal over one spot or shift the digits to other place value positions. When we're dividing, the digit goes to a smaller spot, or you can say the decimal moves to the left. And so for each 1 divided by 10, you get 1/10. And you simply add these up, and you have 5 ones and 4 tenths. Oh, okay. So you have your 5 ones and 4 tenths. So then when you have 5 ones and 4 tenths divided by 10, then you have 1 divided by 10. So the 1 divided by 10 would give you 1/10. So you do this successively until you have 5 tenths, and then 1/10 divided by 10 gives you 1/100th. So your final answer is 54 hundredths. So 5 tenths and 4 hundredths. So that's what today is all about. So 54 hundredths divided by 10. Take this and break it up again. 5 ones in the tenths place, and then 4 ones in the hundredths place, divided by 10 again. And so you have your 1 divided by 10, and then you just shift it over, and again shift this over. So we've been doing this for a while, and this is what it looks like on the place value chart. So we have tens, ones, here's our decimal, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Each time you divide by 10, you're shifting to a smaller place value position each time. Now, there's another page of notes just with a few more problems, because today we're not only going to use 10, but we will use a multiple of 10, like 90 or 80 or 60 or 50. And so in the previous lessons, I believe it was 16, you can take apart these divisors and put them in 2 pieces, a 10 and whatever's left over. When you divide with the 10, which you should be familiar with now, you're shifting the digits. And then you would have just simple division with your quick fact. So we're combining all of these things that we've been doing for months, really, and we're doing it all with this division. Now, let's say you want to do your quick fact first. Can you do that? So what if I did 54 divided by 9 first, and you get 6, and then take 6 and divide by 10? Yeah, you can do that. And I think I almost prefer doing this. You're going to get the same answer either way, so it does not matter. The book is going to kind of go back and forth. I feel like they do it the way I don't like it more, but I really prefer doing the quick fact and then do the shifting of the digits. So if you need more time, pause the video. I know that was kind of a long introduction, but it is really important that you know, first of all, you've done this before. Don't be afraid. Change this into 2 problems. Really simplify, and you will definitely get this today. All right. Oh, and this was, I even went to find it. This is lesson 2 in module 1. And so here you've been doing this since the beginning of the year. We had 8 7/10 times 10. Remember, you just shift it. These digits go this way to make greater place value positions, or when you divide, they go to a smaller place value position. So I'm not kidding when I'm saying you have done this before. Now, into the lesson. So it says divide. Show the division in the right-hand column in 2 steps. The first 2 have been done for you because it's the same problem with one little exception. Okay, this is 12/10 divided by 6 equals 2/10. And why did I say it that way? Because I'm renaming it so that it will help me kind of think about what I should end up with as a decimal answer. And then this is essentially the same problem, but it's 10 times greater with the divisor. And so watch out for, I'm going to highlight here for you, all the equal signs. Now watch out. This looks like you might be going, oh man, look at all these numbers. Like, that's really scary. And I would say don't be scared. It's the same thing written a bunch of different times. So this is the 12/10 divided by 60. But if you take this part and rewrite it over here, stop at the equal sign. Okay? And then you take that, and then we've got another equal sign. So see how many times they're reconstructing this problem. So don't be afraid. It's just this mathy way of doing stuff, but don't be afraid. It's a little annoying, but we'll get through it. So just to highlight what they're doing here, this would be 12/10, okay, divided by 60. They take the 6 apart. First do the division with the quick fact, then do the division with the power of the multiple of 10, okay? Then this is the answer. 2/10 is the answer for this problem. Copy that because we haven't done that step yet. Then you do this step and get the answer here. So it's a lot of rewriting. It's just kind of convoluted. You're probably totally confused, which I completely understand. And so there's nothing like just doing it to get your feet wet. So we've been talking for 7 minutes. Good heavens. Let's just do it. Rename this 24/10. Just do it. Write it down. 24/10 divided by 4. Now this is divided by 4 ones. So I can think about this in terms of tenths divided by ones. I know I need tenths for my answer, and it's 24 divided by 4. That's a quick one. So it's 6/10, which looks like 6/10. Okay, see, easy peasy. Now, this is the first step of this problem. So now that you've done the work here, we have the same dividend and slightly different divisor. This is 10 times greater. So we're going to take this one apart. So let's do what it looks like up here. Let's break it into 2 pieces by rewriting this, rewrite it, and break this into 2 pieces. First, we'll divide by 4, and then we're going to divide by 10. And then we'll have a different answer, okay? So if I have 24/10 divided by 4, I already did that. I know my answer is going to be 6/10. So this is really helping you here. But I have 6/10 that I still need to do divided by 10. I know it's like all strung out. It seems kind of crazy. But now we're back to Module 1, Lesson 2. Take a decimal, 6/10, and divide it by 10, which means it's going to be even smaller. And that's your final answer. Okay? So it's not that bad. We just need to practice it like 50 times in order for you to really, really understand what's happening. So 14 and 7/10, you can call it 147 tenths divided by 7 ones. And notice that you can take this and take it apart. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 7 divided by 7 is 1. And I'm doing this in my head because they're giving us easy numbers, but it's tenths divided by ones, therefore my answer should be tenths. So what does 21 tenths look like? We've done enough renaming to know that 21 tenths looks like that. Okay? Now, same dividend, but different divisor. So rewrite this, divide by the first digit, then divide by 10. Okay? And again, there's just a lot of copying. And then we're going to do a little bit of solving. So we already know that 2.1 is the answer to the first part of the problem, but I still need to divide by 10. So it's just 2 steps, and then 2.1 divided by 10 is going to, oh, it's so smashed in there, become 0 and 21 hundredths. Okay? Let's do another one. See, I'm trying to keep my book on the screen. How about that for a change? Let's keep it all clear for you. Okay, 34. Now we're not dealing with tenths anymore. We have 34 hundredths divided by 2 ones. It's always easy when you're dividing by ones because it's just going to be the other number. And so what's 34 divided by 2? It's 17. And then we're using hundredths. Okay? Now, what does 17 hundredths look like in standard form? It looks like this. So knowing your place value positions is coming all back now. You have to know where to put the decimal. This is the tenths place. This is the hundredths place. Watch out. Watch out. Caution. Beep, beep. This is not the same dividend anymore. Now they're making you think. And that's not the same divisor. So we're really close with our answer here, but you won't be able to copy. You have to think about it. This is 34 tenths now. And we're dividing by 20 ones. Okay. So if I have 34 tenths, and it's not the hundredths anymore, then, and I'm dividing by 20 ones, I can take this apart and divide by 2 and divide by 10. And so you're going to have to watch out. Watch out. Oops, 17. I should write that here. Tenths, because you have to just be super careful with your labeling. You have to be super careful with your decimal placement. Okay? So when it changes form, you have to just really be careful with the decimal. Now still divide by 10. And it's going to become digits shift to the right, and or the decimal shifts to the left. Okay? Now, I know this video is going to be a little bit long, so what I'm going to do to hurry things up, I don't like to have to do this, but I'm just going to lay down the key because sometimes it takes me such a long time to write it. So I'm going to show you the answers, and then we'll just kind of talk through it as my pages are flopping out of the book here. Okay. So, and again, sometimes I'll do things like long division. I wasn't showing you guys this, but if it makes you comfortable, you can certainly use the standard algorithm. You're going to get the same answer. It's just a little bit more work, and sometimes for my students I'll do multiple means so that everybody can see how we're doing it. So anyway, here's your 45 hundredths divided by 9 for 5 hundredths, and that's what it looks like, tenths, hundredths. You can also lay it out in standard form. This is the same dividend, but change the divisor. Break it into two parts, 45 hundredths divided by 9, then divided by 10. We have the same starting point here as we did here, and then divide by 10, and it shifts again. And if you want, you can put a little 0 here. For K, it's 345 hundredths divided by 3, and then you end up with 1 and 15 hundredths, or 115 hundredths. And again, you can do this if you wish. You don't need to. That's not part of this lesson. It's just helping students solve it and see it. And then 34 and 5 tenths is different from what we had here. We had hundredths here and tenths here. And then you're going to take your answer, write this first, divide by the 3, and then notice that they're giving you 100 now. But that's okay. Dividing by 10, 100, or 1,000 is easy. You just shift the digits however many 0 or place value positions that you need to. This would be 2. So you take your answer, 11 and 5 tenths, shift it 2 times, and then there should be a 0 here, but that's okay. Okay, super smashed in there. So let's get to the back. There's a whole bunch more. I know, grown. And I'll just show you here the answers, and we'll kind of talk through it real quickly. I don't like you guys to jump ahead. So, okay. So this one says use place value reasoning and the first quotient to compute the second quotient. This is what we were doing on the previous page, but you have to explain your thinking. So it's really not about the answer on this line, it's about your explanation. So here is a problem that they did for you, and they said, look, we gave you the answer. Now you go. 46 and 5 tenths divided by 50. Now watch out. This divisor is 10 times greater. Okay, that's where the 10 comes in. So the quotient will be 10 times less. It's just easier to see that, because if you divide this by a bigger number, your answer will be smaller by the same amount. So if this goes up 10 times, this will go down 10 times. So that's where this divide by 10 comes in. Thank you so much. So, so what you do here to get this answer to change to the proper answer, you just say, I only need to divide by 10 because the digits are the same, except 5 was changed to 50, which makes it 10 times greater. Okay? All of these are like that. So let's see what the others look like. Crooked. Okay. 51 hundredths divided by 3 equals 17 hundredths. Now this is the answer. So same dividend, 10 times greater. Therefore, your answer would be 10 times smaller. Same approach. Shift the digits to one place value position smaller. Nothing changed, but we need to divide by 10. Okay? Same for B. Now C changes a little bit. Because our divisor is 10 times greater when we first start. And then it changes to be 10 times less, or 1/10 the value. So your answer that you started with needs to be 10 times more. If you divide by a number that is 10 times less, then you're going to have more in your answer. Okay? So you can take this previous one, multiply this by 10 to get the new answer, which is going to be 10 times bigger. This may be totally confusing for you. I'm so sorry. That's just the way this book is written. But again, look at and think about what division is. I'm sharing 29 into 70 groups. So what's the size of each group? Less than 1. It's less than a half. If I'm sharing 29 by 7, well, I can fit a whole bunch of 7s actually in there, 4 of them, in fact, plus a little extra. So you just are trying to make sense of these numbers. finally, on the bottom of this page, this is the same as this one, where I have a larger dividend on top and then a smaller dividend on the bottom. If this is the actual answer, my final answer should be 10 times more than what I had initially, because this is 10 times less. So multiply this answer by 10 because the divisor is 10 times smaller. So this is all the reasoning, okay? If your teacher says, oh, write this, this is where the answer is, okay? I could care less about this. This is what the answer is, okay? Now, oh, this is a monster. I'm going to have to do this one with you because, oh, it's just enormous. Okay. 20 polar bears live at the zoo. In 4 weeks, they eat a lot of food, 9,732.8 pounds of food altogether. Assuming each bear, this is the total, very important, is fed the same amount of food, how much food is used to feed one bear for a week? That's a question. Now, take your answer and round it to the nearest pound. So we have a lot to do here, but that's okay. Let's start out with a tape diagram. And in my previous one, I've got work everywhere, so we're gonna kind of model it. First of all, let's take the 4 weeks, because we know this is 9,732.8. 9732.8 pounds. Okay, and this is 4 weeks. So we know that. Always read, draw, write. So do what you can, but that's for 20 bears. Okay, so don't forget that. This is another important, but it's a number in word form, so you don't want to lose track of those either. So we know this, and we're going to write it. So now we have to start breaking it down. Assuming each bear is fed the same amount, how much does one bear get in this amount of time? So there are a number of ways you can approach this problem, and I love having kids in class because I'll just say, go for it, try it, and then we share out, and everybody's like, well, I did it this way, I started with this, and I did that, and I love hearing all the different variety of answers. If you see one way and I don't do it that way, first, don't be deterred, like, that's a funny word, deterred. Don't be deterred, and that just means don't feel like your way isn't valid. Your way may be wonderful, it's just maybe different than the way I see it. So what I want to do is eventually we're going to have to take the 9,732.8 and divide it by 20. You could also divide it by 4 first, but I'm just going to lay it out like this, 9732.8 divided by the 20 bears, so I could figure out how much one bear gets in the 4 weeks, okay? And so I just feel like starting there. Now, in the recent weeks, we've been dividing by 2, then by 10. But we also know that you can use the standard algorithm. And so what I wanted to show you without confusing you too much is that you can divide by 20 and get the answer in one step, or you can divide by 2 and then take this answer and divide by 10 to get the real answer. Now, I've done it both ways for lots of kids because people will say, well, I did it this way, I did that way. It's all great. But I'm just going to do the 20 for now so we can save a little bit of time and paper. And so we'll divide 9732.8 by 20. Now, don't forget decimal up when you divide with decimals, okay? So 97 divided by 20 is 20, 40, 60, 80. We're going to put a 4 up in the quotient. 4 times 20, 80. Subtract, get 17. That's less. Bring down. Now I have 173 as my dividend. If you count by 2s and you get to 8 2s, that would give you 160. And then that leaves me with 13 left, which is less than 20, so I can bring the 2 down. Now, if I have 132 divided by 20, then I can have 6 of them because 6 times 2 is 12, and that leaves me with 120. And then that leaves me with 12 left over, and I'm all the way down here to my tenths place. Remember, this is all place value. And I have 128, still not going to be even, but I can have my 6 up here again because I'm really close. And now I have 8 left. If I annex a 0, we've done this before. If you're not done but you want an exact answer, annex the 0, bring it down, divide 80 hundredths by 20, and you get 8. And I'm sorry, 8, you get 4. 4 times 8, 4 times 2 is 80. There you go. And so once you're finished with your exact decimal and you don't have to do any more division, then we can use this. Now, what does this represent? This is how much food in pounds that each polar bear would eat, okay, in 4 weeks. But I also need to take this. This is the 4 weeks total for one bear. But that's not what the question is. It's how much food is used to feed one bear for a week. So I'm going to take this 486.64 and I'm going to divide it by 4 because I want to break that down. I need to know this one. And so this is going to be another big division problem before we can round our answer to the nearest pound. The nearest pound is in this position. So let's start dividing. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. 6 divided by 4 is 1. Multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. Now we're over in the tenths place. Divide. Oops. Yikes. Divide. 6 times 4 is 24. And we get 2 here. And then we can bring this down. And we can do another division problem to finish out and end on the 0. But what I really needed was to get to this helper position and look how that's going to affect the rounding position. So round your answer to the nearest pound. If my answer is 121 and 66 hundredths, more importantly, it's 121 and 6 tenths. The 6 is a big bossy number. And so this would be approximately 122 pounds. And that is your final answer. So each bear gets about 122 lbs of food per week. Okay? Now, final question. I know it's just, I'm telling you, these are monstrous. Big lesson today. The total weight of 30 bags of flour and 4 bags of sugar is 42 and 6/10 kilograms. Sounds like a tape diagram. If each bag of sugar weighs 75 hundredths, what is the weight of each bag of flour? First of all, make a tape diagram. It will help you. Okay? This is 30 bags of flour and 4 bags of sugar. Let's just call this 30 bags of flour. Okay, up to 30. 1, 2, ... 30. And then this is going to be 4 bags of flour. Oops, wait, sugar. Miss Sentence, sugar. Okay, 4 bags of sugar. And this is the total is 42 and 6/10 kilogram. Total 42 and 6/10 kilograms. Okay, so if each bag of sugar, it's like we don't have any information up to this point, but we do know now that each bag is 75 hundredths of a kilogram. So if you take your 75 hundredths and multiply it by 4, you can figure out the total amount in weight of sugar. 5 times 4 is 20, 28, 29, 30. 0 plus 3 is 0. It's hundredths times 1 is hundredths. So 3 what? Kilograms, whole kilograms of sugar. Okay? And then just to be quick, and the same thing on this one, I know you're like, don't take it away. Don't worry, I won't take it away without giving you more information. So just to wrap it up quickly, 3 kilograms for all the sugar, that's this. You're gonna take that away from the total to give you 39.6 kilograms of flour that you have to work with. Then you would